Welcome to the rant bed where I fuck bitches and men together.
Yeah.
At the same time.
This
We have several of each.
Yeah.
Several of each. This comes from J Ness, who says, rant about the influence of millennial internet creators upon aspiring Zoomer internet creators.
We have a millennial right here.
Hell. It turns your brain into hell.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like you're going crazy and you're never good enough, and it makes your brain into hell, and then you have to have like a 5-year-long arc of discovering that you're valid.
Well, okay. The thing with I feel like there's a big difference between how millennials consume shit when they were teens and how Zoomers consume shit when they're teens.
Can confirm.
Millennials, they consumed a broader range of things because they had less options. Like, okay, because it's like, okay, here's what's on TV, here's the video games, like, but it was much harder to get deeper into things. Whereas Zoomers are way more specialized, you know? You had like Tumblrs and shit, where it's like, okay, this is dedicated to one specific thing, so you can just consume that one specific thing for like years, you know? It's like, and I feel like also Zoomers, because of that, are really into binging, you know? Like Zoomers, you know, they go on Netflix and they binge a show in like 2 days, whereas like, you know, they're much more completionists than a lot of millennials. So a lot of millennial internet stuff was very based around that sort of environment of like that very pop culture-y thing, where like Zoomers is way more specific, you know.
Yeah, I definitely have like a broad cultural memory for shit. Like, I'm very, very saturated in stuff from the 80s all the way up to like a decade before I was born with like the earliest millennials. And like that has shaped a large portion of my awareness of the media landscape in general. I feel like when it was me as a teenager, the experience was give me that. The experience was like it was harder to get into the deep stuff. You are correct. But once you got over the hump, you fell all the way down, and I feel like it's easier to get like midway deep into a lot of things now.
There's so many options.
The difference between like taking one of each finger and putting it all the way down into 5 different pies versus like having a pie where the top of it is a turtle shell, but once you break through, you go elbow deep,
you're
shoulder deep.
You're full fucking fisting that pie.
And like what these things even are that you're into changes over time. Like they change how to get into them over time. Like back in the day, if you were into geocaching, you were a lunatic.
Right.
Like, hey, imagine saying to somebody in the 90s, like, hey, we're gonna go into that abandoned building and put a box there. And there's like a little list where you can like leave a signature, and you leave some stuff where you take some stuff, and there's like coins that people have made about this. How utterly insane that sounds to somebody from the 90s while you're in the 90s.
Right. No, that'd be... Yeah. Unless you're really cool. Unless you're the ones doing it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That doesn't sound as weird today.
No, not at all.
And I picked geocaching because, like, it's kind of an older fad, and, like, if there are any millennials, they'll know what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
Family.
Family?
Yeah.
That was pretty good. That was a pretty good rant. Anyone else got anything to say about millennials and Zoomers? I think what Simon was saying earlier about like the influence is pretty correct. A lot of like our experiences with millennials influencing our work is like a weird mixed world where we kind of had to go find our own stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, for us, I know us Zoomers, all of the millennial creators who we watched were like very broken people.
Yeah.
And
but
so,
you know that.
Yeah,
we know that.
Looking back on it, I'm able to see that, and like at the time, obviously, like, oh, this person's like kind of a weirdo, but like to be able to analyze the extent and the brand of like, okay, here's where your hangups are, and like I have the ability to learn from them, but also I have developed habits that are directly because of the bad habits that you developed because of how your brain was weird.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, with millennials, I feel like millennials like came on the internet with something to prove. You know, it's like that sort of influenced Zoomer people. But then like Zoomers, they sort of at some like we all did this at some point, like realize like, oh wait, we don't have to like, because like they come from a world with way stricter rules. You know?
Yeah, yeah, like you cannot use a real name, like your real name, in any capacity.
Yeah.
And there's just no boundary like that with Zoomers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know your government name. We don't.
Yeah.
We don't know what his government
No,
name
we
is.
don't.
We don't.
Yeah, I'm like 4 layers of abstraction deep in names.
I think
This thing is just a combination of your.
you know, like Kirito, how his name is Kirihiko Kazuto. That's like basically how my name is. That's basically what I do with my username.
Everyone knows my name is Max, but I don't like that name, so I'm just my real name is Plunder. That's just my real name.
Yes.
Yeah, real name.
There's this moment in the second live action X-Men movie where Pyro was like flicking a lighter back and forth. Pyro, the obviously evil member of the team.
Yes.
And he's in the back of the plane with Magneto, and Magneto's like, hey. And Pyro's like, they tell me you're the bad guy. And he's like, is that what they say about me? What's your name, kid? And he tells him, and Magneto's like, nah, what's your real name? And he's like, Pyro. And he was like, well, Pyro, you're a god among insects. Never let anybody tell you different. And, but that captures, like, it is the perfect radicalization.
Yeah.
But a keystone of that radicalization is he has his own name that is separate from all the things that he's been told he's supposed to be.
Right.
And by casting off that old name, he's embracing himself in a way that he will not be recognized by the system. And that whole dynamic was very integral to millennial thinking.
Yeah.
Which is why it's in a millennial movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick as fuck. I want to watch that movie now.
That's it. What's that?
Well, I just gave you the best moment, so just watch that scene.
Okay, sure.
Alright. No one scene from the
Alright,
episode.
alright. So,
we're good.
oh, I've got more.
Oh, you got more?
I've got
You wanna
more.
talk about
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah, alright. So, you guys are like post-website, in a way.
Unfortunately,
we would love to be
Yeah.
contemporary with website.
Yeah.
I mean,
but we are not.
I was like really into the Chan shit, like really early on though, like when I was like 13, 12 years old. So.
Yeah. That was like on the edge of the death of the website as a concept. Because now there's like, when it was me getting onto the internet in the beginning, there were web rings. Do you know, any of you guys know what a web ring is?
No, we
Okay.
I've heard that term used in like that's what pedophiles have.
Okay, so a web ring was, if you're part of a web ring, you join up with some people, and you say, I am part of this web ring. Here's the previous guy in the chain, and here's the next guy in the chain.
Oh, so it's like
that's it.
Yeah, it's like you just fucking like all link to each other and
You link to each other, but you all, like, the idea of a web ring is it's one in, one out.
Right.
So you have to go to the next website in like a path.
That's
and
cool.
maybe it'll branch off because you can be part of multiple web rings.
Right.
But that's the idea.
That's
and
sick
then
as fuck.
eventually that evolved into like a list of other influences, which if you go to like old websites, you can still see traces of that.
Right.
Like XKCD
Which I love.
has
It's
those.
fucking super cool.
You know, XKCD linked me to what I would consider my first exposure to Zoomer comics,
Which is
a softer world.
I don't know what that is.
It's not actually a Zoomer comic, but it is in the spirit of a Zoomer comic,
Okay.
I think. Like, here's an example of a softer world comic. I understand how riots start. I just don't understand why they ever stop.
Damn. Yo.
Yeah.
And the picture that goes along with this is like a hot lady with a gorilla mask on, and that's the comic.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah. Anyway, so I watched the website die,
Yeah.
where it in the heyday it was a huge scatter, and following anything was a pain because you had had a bookmarks folder that would just unravel.
Yeah.
When you clicked on it.
An ancient scroll.
Yeah. And if you were really aces, you had a bookmark folder with a scroll wheel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But you don't because browsers sucked back in the day. That it wasn't actually like you had to move your mouse to the bottom and then it would tick up slowly.
God.
So navigating anywhere was the worst. But following things periodically meant checking up on stuff and keeping it in your brain. It was not presented to you. It was a thing that you go to.
About it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't
Yeah.
got notifications.
Right.
Yeah, I want to find shit on my own. I don't want it to be brought to me.
Yeah.
Whenever I try to find shit on my own, it's just like 1,000 people trying to shove their fucking cocks in my face. It's like, why do I even bother? And I just stick with what I know.
All right. So this is the millennial thing that needs to come back.
Mhm.
Is the distribution of the subscription feed. It's called
100%.
RSS.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys know RSS?
Yeah, I know RSS.
All right. For the people who don't, basically, every website publishes a feed of the last 100 or so things that they did. If you were a bitch, maybe you did the last 10 or so things that you did, and then you have a page where it broadcasts that out, and the browser that you're using has like ants that run out to each of these little piles of sugar and gathers what is new for you and presents it into a single unified subscription feed, or whatever you want to customize it as.
Sure.
Maybe you only want the last 10 things. You type that in yourself, and it's in your control, and it's decentralized. And how did we get to the point where there's 5 websites full of screenshots of the other 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's so that's.
Facebook
We have a
is
website.
how-
We should use it more.
That is true.
We should use our website more.
No, yeah.
Well-
Your website's really out of date.
A big part of the problem is convincing other people to leave one of the 5 websites.
Yeah, man, and that's the whole thing. Like you gotta, like I was saying earlier, you have to adjust the fucking weird brain poisoning that you have,
Yeah.
and just change your behavior so you can do cooler and better shit.
If I were a
cool.
billionaire, what
Yeah.
I would probably do is have an RSS style client, some improvement to RSS over what it currently is, because I've got a couple ideas, but
And then
I don't have a
figure out how
billion
to market
dollars.
it to people.
We don't have
No,
got
fuck
12.
that. Just pay people to use it
There you go.
for
Yo,
a month.
you can turn into a crypto thing.
Yeah, you probably could. Yeah.
Oh my god. This is business right here. This is
Crypto-based
business.
RSS. That sounds like a nightmare to make.
Yeah.
Get on it, boys.
Get on it. Don't worry.
That would be cool. I think that would be a way that you could get the subscription feed that was user controlled back.
Mhm.
But you would never it would have to be done in such a way that it couldn't be deniable by the big players. Like YouTube wouldn't have no option to say no to something like this, because people want the subscriptions that they subscribe to, you know?
Mhm.
So you need to be able to just give me everything from this guy. There's got to be some way for that. And I got way too specific on this.
Yeah, this ran
I got
20 minutes.
way too specific on this.
Oh yeah.
But hopefully this gives you the spirit of how a millennial thinks about media in general.
We should figure out an RSS feed.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.